soy Vanessa y usted está escuchando el podcast del horno de leña con Mark Guston. Hi, this is Vanessa, and you're listening to the Wood-Fired Oven podcast with Mark Guston.
From California to Adelaide, Melbourne to Stanthorpe, from London to Devon in the UK, these are just some of the places where my extraordinary wood-fired oven guests reside. Today's guest is from Maryland in the USA, and she is a foodie fire fanatic, I think. She is very creative and experimental with her wood-fired cooking. She is fascinated with how fire draws people together, and at the heart of everything, it is quite clear, is her family. And all of this, I suspect, stems from her rich Colombian heritage. Vanessa Niño, what an absolute delight for me. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the invitation.
Oh, you're most welcome. You've been busy though, because I've been looking at your Instagram feed and you've been laying bricks.
I have.
What have you been doing?
We're expanding our wood-fired oven area. So about a year and a half ago, we built our wood-fired oven, and we had a small patio area. And I very, very quickly realized that it was too small because everybody gathers around you. And every time I was going to pull something out of the oven, I had to make sure everybody was moved away so that I wouldn't hit them or injure anybody, any of my guests. So with my husband, we spoke about it, and we spoke about expanding the area. And of course, I was a little ambitious, and it wasn't just a small expansion. We made a whole city area.
It's huge.
It is.
It's as big as my whole house, your back area. So.
Well, we actually have a protected forest area behind our house, so it looks much larger than it is, but it's really, really nice.
It's a lovely backdrop by the looks of it. So when you're out there cooking, you've got this gorgeous forest in the background. What a lovely spot. But you're laying bricks, though. That's a lot of bricks you're laying, Vanessa.
Yes, that was my job. It was actually, I did it after work, after busy days. So it was nice and relaxing, just kind of a good way to end my day and just completely disconnect from everything that was going on. It was fun.
Oh, that's really great. It kept you fit as well. It was a big effort when I built my wood-fired oven in the backyard. I haven't laid bricks. I haven't finished my patio area, actually. So I'm taking all this inspiration from folk like yourself, how I'm going to finish it all off. Bricklaying, that's heavy work. Good on you. How long do you think it's going to take before it's all finished? Will it ever be finished, or is it going to be a continual improvement?
Getting there. So this is what I'm calling phase 2. So phase 1 was definitely the wood-fired oven with the wood-fired grill, which followed about 6 months later.
What style of grill is it? Because I'm looking at a picture here that I think your lovely daughter took,
yes.
And I'm looking at it, and it's fabulous. You've got your wood-fired oven lit on one side, you've got this amazing wood-fired grill on the other side. And what made me chuckle, though, Vanessa, is the amount of heat that those two ovens are pumping out would be so hot. And in between your two ovens, you've got a gas heater.
That was put there because
a gas heater. You could stand there and literally fry yourself with these ovens. It must get pretty cold. But you've got 2 fires there.
We actually moved it while we were building, and it just kind of stayed there. So no, that's actually on the other side for the guests to keep warm while the cook is burning up.
Okay.
You started to say earlier that it was a Argentinian grill, and it is not. It's actually a Brazilian style grill.
I beg your pardon.
There is a difference, actually, believe it or not. So for Argentina, the wood, you can see it. If you step back, you can see the wood and the fire.
Right.
In the Brazilian style, there's actually a pocket where you put the fire in.
Okay.
So it's like a box, I guess, where the fire sits in it.
Yep.
While the Argentinian style, it sits right in front of you with no coverage in front of you. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So yours is a Brazilian grill, just to be clear.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Well, it looks lovely. And so when this thing turned up, because it looks huge, it's about 15,000 times bigger than your wood-fired oven by the looks. It's massive. So have you done all the tiling work on it? Because for the listeners out there, if you haven't seen it, I should say, go visit Vanessa's Instagram profile. What's your Instagram account name?
It's at Vanessa Niño 4.
Okay, at Vanessa Niño 4. Definitely go and stop this podcast now head on over to Instagram and follow Vanessa. These tiles that are sitting in behind the flame that I'm looking at, it looks gorgeous. So did it come like that, or do you get to choose the tile work that you do?
We did whatever we wanted it to do. So
Really? That's cool.
it comes and it's just the outside, the skeleton of it that you made. And then you beautify it the way you want it.
Yeah, right. It's stunning. Well, you're going to have a lot of fun with both of those.
Yes, we're still finishing it. We still have some tiling to do.
Yep. Oh, good.
But it's getting there.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so let's set the scene for the listeners. So I said before in the intro that you're in Maryland, USA. I'm sitting at home in Brisbane, Queensland, Australia, and it's actually quite a big difference in locations. 15,302 kilometers, apparently, according to Uncle Google. It's just about 9,500 nautical miles away. I'm looking through a camera and seeing you in your house. It is really nice to connect with you, even though you are a long, long way away. It's just lovely. What I'm really interested to talk with you about is where this passion comes from, where this drive to put these two beautiful wood-fired ovens, grills in your backyard. Where does this come from, Vanessa?
Family, actually. Yeah. I grew up in Colombia, as you said earlier. My mom is Brazilian, my dad is Colombian. So that's where my Brazilian side and the Brazilian grill came out.
Okay.
We had a Brazilian style grill in our backyard. And we had parties and we entertained a lot. In fact, whenever I go to Colombia, people talk about my family. Oh, yeah, I remember the grill outs at your family's place.
Oh, that's
it's like
great.
They don't remember me. They remember my family's grill out.
I remember the fire. Yeah, that's great.
Exactly. So it was always a great way of gathering people. And I've always enjoyed entertaining and having people over. And I was using my grill, the gas grill, for years, and always knowing that I wanted an outdoor kitchen, but I didn't want just any outdoor kitchen. It had to be spectacular. It had to be fun.
Yeah.
And that was several years back. But as I started thinking about it and talking to my husband about it, I did a trip Colombia with my middle sister and my parents. And in that trip, we had a lot of conversations about family. And even though I had heard this story in the past, my dad started talking about his grandmother.
Right.
And how she was the baker of the town. And
was she?
He really, at that point, he was talking about the delicious things that she made.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm like, I gotta cook these things for my dad because he's like, I can't find them anymore.
Yeah,
you can't see those. Great. Nobody makes them the same way. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to make this for my dad. I'm going to figure out these recipes and do it. And then as we spoke a lot more about it, as the years went by, we did another trip again with my parents and my sister's family and my family. And we went to the town where my great-grandmother lived, where my grandmother was born. And we talked more about it. Now, the place where the baking happened, where the wood-fired oven was, it doesn't exist anymore. But there is kind of like the walls of what used to be no wood-fired oven that I remember. But then my dad started talking about the wood-fired oven. And I just became obsessed with it. If I was going to make these for my dad, it had to be in the original way, with a wood-fired oven, and just stayed in my mind, and I had to do it.
Oh, that's fantastic. So what were some of these food items that your dad really enjoyed and he was missing?
So the first one I remember him saying was one that I tried a couple years back, and it was horrible.
Did you fail?
It was
Did
horrible.
you have a wood-fired oven fail?
No, I didn't try it. I tried somebody who had made it. It was so bad that actually my husband and a friend of ours who went to Colombia with us, they're like, we can't eat this.
Oh, no.
And there was a street dog there, and they threw it to the sea, and not even the dog ate it. And it's just like a bread with the top. It has some pork rind.
Oh, sounds good.
But it has to be. Yes, but it has to be fresh.
Okay.
Not.
Oh no.
Who knows how many days old?
No.
And so that's one of the ones that I like the most. That I want to do the most. I really haven't found a good recipe for it. But then also a lot of things that we make are with guava.
Right.
The guava fruit and guava paste.
Okay.
So those are some of the other ones. So I did once. It was okay.
Yeah, okay.
Is
it work in progress?
You got to experiment a couple times. Exactly. You haven't seen it on Instagram because it has not been perfect.
Yeah, that's right. I think we've all got these Instagram little projects that fills up my photo folders, but will never make it onto
You got
Instagram.
it. You got
Tell
it.
us a little bit about growing up in Colombia. Part of your family, well, they were in Brazil, weren't they? So you didn't see them quite as much?
I didn't see them quite as much. And actually, my family in Colombia is actually very small. My dad has 2 brothers, 1 sister.
Yep.
His sister passed away young.
Okay.
His other brother never married. He passed away about 10 years ago. And his other brother, who did marry, he married in his 50s. So they didn't have children. They eventually adopted my 2 cousins. My 2 only
Oh, wow.
cousins in Colombia were adopted. And then my dad, who has the 3 of us. But my dad was the oldest of all the cousins, and the age difference was significant.
Right.
So when he was already in college, a lot of his cousins were still growing up and getting together. So he really didn't have a close relationship with them. So our growing up with them was not as close. Now, my mom's family is big, and we were all pretty close. We didn't get to travel to Brazil as much because it's very expensive.
What's the flight time
But
from Colombia to Brazil?
it was about 12 hours.
Was it really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. That's a
Yes.
long way.
I know. They're next to each other, but it's
Yeah.
the
Well,
trip
it's a big
is
part of the
just
world. Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So your father has a big birthday coming up, does he?
Dad next year will be his 90th
His 90th.
birthday.
Well, happy birthday for next year.
Yes.
So, Vanessa, your grandparents on your mother's side, they had a wood-fired oven in Brazil.
We did.
Yeah.
So the first I remember realizing that what we were eating was cooked on fire. Again, we didn't go to Brazil very often because it was expensive and it's tough to go. But Christmas 1979, I'm aging myself.
Oh, I can remember that. That's about when Star Wars came out and I was young. Yeah, anyway, carry on.
I won't tell you how old I was at the time, but
tell me about 79.
yes, Star Wars came out at that year. I know. But we went there for Christmas, and it
Yep.
was the first and actually the only time that I've spent Christmas in Brazil. And I remember all the cousins getting this plate of cookies, and somebody telling me that the cookies had been baked in that big brick thing that was outside.
Wow.
It doesn't look like the ordinary wood-fired oven that we have because it was like a square block house-ish thing. And what they had was a barrel on the bottom. That barrel is what held the wood.
Right.
And then on top, they had the oven. So the wood was not inside the oven as ours were. It was below it with the tray underneath, and the heat would project
Gotcha. Right.
to it. But then all the bread that we ate there was all made in their wood-fired oven.
Oh,
so
spectacular. And bread baked in a wood-fired oven, actually, I don't think you can beat it.
Oh,
you know?
my goodness, yes.
Have you done much baking yourself in yours?
Yes, I am a horrible baker, but I've tried
Same.
it.
It's so much work.
It is. But yeah, I'm trying my hand on it, and I really, really want to bake the bread that my grandparents were making. That really is one. I have the recipe, I have everything, and I really want to make it.
Let's talk a little bit about cooking now as an adult. I mean, you've obviously got a very rich heritage, South American heritage, Brazilian, Colombian heritage. How has that influence growing up affected how you cook today in your 2 beautiful wood-fired devices in your backyard?
So I love Colombian food. I absolutely love Colombian food. I love cooking Colombian food.
How would you describe Colombian food? How would you describe it? Because I haven't been to Colombia. I'd love to go to Colombia. How would you describe for the listeners?
So Colombia has 5 distinct zones, if you may. We have the Caribbean, the Pacific, the Amazon, the plains, and the mountainous areas.
Right.
And each one of those, because of the climate, because of what's surrounding it, the foods are very, very different, very distinct.
Right.
Caribbean, Pacific, a lot of fish. Amazon, actually, a lot of fish as well, but it's more of a freshwater fish rather than saltwater fish.
Right.
And then the plains are steaks, anything steak.
Brilliant.
That
Love
is
it.
where the Colombian cowboys live. So that's where a lot of the cattle are raised and farmed. And then the Cordilleras area, the mountainous areas, it actually divides in 3. And it goes from very warm weather to cold weather to everything in between. There's humid, there's dry, there's everything. So it is extremely diverse. Colombia is one of the most diverse countries in the world when it comes to flora and fauna. Just butterflies alone, we have more butterflies than I think any other country.
Really?
Yeah.
Amazing.
The biodiversity in Colombia is second to the world, only followed by Brazil. And Brazil is gigantic compared to Colombia. When it comes to space, Colombia is the most diverse country in the world.
Oh, fascinating.
So when it comes to its animals and its fauna.
So it's no surprise then that there's so much variety in food and in cooking, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So when you say you love Colombian food, out of all of those zones, what's your favorite? What does it mean for you?
So having grown up in Bogotá, which is in the mountainous areas, what I eat the most is that, which is there are a lot of soups. We eat a lot of potatoes, meats, and
Did you have much seafood growing
I
up?
did. My dad loves seafood, and it's not my mom's favorite, but she likes it. So we did eat some, but it wasn't the most common meals that we had. However, I love it as well, and I try to eat fish or cook fish as often as we're able to. Our son loves fish.
Is that right?
He will
Really?
devour. Yes.
Oh, wow, that's
my
great.
goodness, he loves it.
Does he go fishing? Do you go fishing in Maryland?
We've never caught anything, but we have tried.
Yeah, they're slippery little things, aren't they? They're pretty hard to catch.
I tell you, it takes a lot of patience,
Yeah, it
and
does.
our 5-year-old doesn't exactly
Not
have
yet.
enough of that.
Not yet.
So.
No, at 5. Okay, so in the mountainous zones near Bogotá, that's where you're from.
I grew up in Bogotá. Mm-hmm.
A lot of vegetables and cattle was your staple growing up.
Yes, but it always had a little bit of a Brazilian flavor because my mom was the cook, and she
Okay.
always fit the Brazilian
okay.
flavor in. So we ate a lot of black beans and rice. In special occasions, we had the feijoadas. So we did do that as well. So it was a little diverse.
Now, you can cook all of that stuff in a electric oven, I would imagine, but it is quite a commitment to build a wood-fired oven in your backyard. Now, see, I think you said you've had your wood-fired oven in your backyard for...
About, it'll be 2. It was
just 2 years.
COVID. Yes, 2020.
Was it your sourdough COVID project that we all did?
Hey, that was the right time to. We were actually going to do it that year anyway.
Oh, were you?
It just so happened to be a COVID year. But yeah, so it's been in my mind for, oh my goodness, 5-7 years. But we've actually had it almost to in September, it'll be 2 years.
So why build it? Why put an oven in your backyard? I mean, is it to do with that family tradition that you've got, passing on these experiences to the next generation? Did that play a part in the build process for you?
I think it was that, and just being able to have people over and being able to entertain. We love having our friends over.
Yeah, that's great. And fire does that, doesn't it? Fire has this amazing ability to draw people together and to huddle around the fire, and it's a great talking piece. And I imagine when your friends come over to your place, I mean, there's a lot to talk about with your gorgeous 2 wood-fired cookers in your backyard, which is just
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just fabulous.
And it reminds me of my growing up, you know, having
how lovely is that?
The grill in the back.
Yeah, that's neat. And do your kids enjoy cooking?
They enjoy eating.
Do they? Oh, bless the kids.
So everyone starts with great intentions of helping mom.
Yeah, that's right. How about hubby? Does your husband enjoy getting involved? Is he a cook as well?
No, but he refills the wine.
But that's a very, very important part of
It
cooking.
is extremely important, yes.
So talking about wine, so you enjoy a glass of red wine. What wines do you enjoy? I love my red wine.
I favor red wine.
Yeah, fabulous.
We've just recently tried a Super Tuscan. We have this wonderful winery real close to where we live. It's called Only Winery, and it's not a winery in which they have the wines there. They import all the wines and they produce them, the wines, and they're just wonderful.
Yeah.
And they have a Super Tuscan that is one of my favorite ones. So it's just very smooth, and it just goes very well with anything I'm cooking.
Oh, goodness, especially with fire. Does Colombia produce wine? Is it known for its wine producing?
They're definitely not known for their wine.
No.
They're known for their coffee.
Yes, they are.
Amazing.
Yeah, thank you. I love coffee. Yep. What about wines from the States? Have you? I haven't actually drunk many American wines. Have you got some other favorites that you enjoy?
So my sister lives in Oregon, which definitely has wine country
Yeah, sure.
everywhere. So whenever we go wine tasting, and Pinot Noir there is really good. We like it a lot. So when we go there, that's what we tend to drink. But a nice Chardonnay on a very hot day,
That's pretty good.
I tend to stick with the reds.
Yeah. Have you tried some big South Australian
I
red?
have
Yeah.
tried some. I can't even tell you which ones exactly, but I have definitely tried some.
And we'll be right back. If you're enjoying this episode, I'd like to invite you to head on over to Facebook and join my Wood-Fired Oven Chronicles Facebook group. Join hundreds and hundreds of wood-fired oven enthusiasts from all around the world as they share their favorite recipes, tips, and techniques to supercharge all of our wood-fired oven cooking skills. Head on over to Instagram as well, Marks_wood-fired oven for more information on this podcast. Okay, back to the show. You've mentioned to me that you enjoy experimenting with your own recipes and coming up with your own flavors. Tell us a little bit about that.
I am horrible at following a recipe. Absolutely horrible at following a recipe. I will read it and I'll reread it and I'll understand it. And then as I'm creating it, I will put my own spin on it. It's like, this one would taste better with this or that.
But that's great, though. That's what cooking's about, though, isn't it? I mean, a recipe's just there as a wee guide. I'm like you. I get lost after about the third line.
So as long as I have the basics and I understand how the recipe goes and what happens with it, I end up experimenting and I end up with some interesting creations, which I quickly, after I finished, I have this book where I write all my recipes and what I did and how I did it, so that I at least have a little bit of a memory of what it is that I did.
So is that a recipe book, or is that just a book of notes or run sheets? How do you log that stuff?
Both.
Yeah.
I actually have it right here with me.
Great.
Like this one, I made tortillas, which I should show Clive.
Oh, yes, you should.
But on the side, I will leave the one side blank so that I can write my notes on it. Fish empanadas is one of the ones that I want to make for my dad.
Oh, neat. That's great.
So it's like, Dad, try this. What are you saying? So I'm taking all these notes based on what it is. In this one, it says Opa, which is how we call my dad, or how the grandkids call my dad. Opa's comment. These are good, but they're not my dad's.
I do something similar. I've got run sheets with times and everything when I cook. I use the same for my smokers as well. In particular, always write down what my kids think of the food, and it gets a little star if the kids actually really like it, because my girls, they're in their late teens, early 20s now, but they're still very honest with Dad's cooking, and so it's really nice to flick back and see 3 or 4 stars in my big book of stuff they actually really, really liked. So
I recognize the ones they really, really like because it's the one that has all the stains. Because I've gone back to it several times.
But that's great. I think that's great to capture not just the recipes and your notes, but also how it's gone off with your friends and family too. And I can only imagine in years to come when you're flicking back through the things that you've cooked for family and friends, and you get to see these notes. I reckon what a wonderful thing to pass down too to your kids one day as well.
Exactly. Well, my daughter wrote me a poem talking about my book as well.
Oh, no, really? Vanessa's book. Oh, that's gorgeous. That's lovely. Yeah. What about fusion with some of your cooking? My version of fusion is not just with the heritage, but also the styles of cooking. So I've got a Kamado Joe smoker now. I've got a couple of smokers, but really enjoy smoking my foods as well. But then I like taking the meat that I've smoked and then putting it into dishes in my wood-fired oven and creating something new. That's what I call fusion, is fusing.
Like your beef cakes.
Yes. See, exactly right. Yeah, exactly. That's one of my I was thinking about that yesterday, actually, about doing that one again.
I finally got the cheeks today.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Oh,
yes, I have some guys in a farmer's market that we go to that take steak or meat.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need beef cheeks. I need them. Finally, for about a month, I've been trying to get them. I just got them this morning.
Oh, I'm very pleased. So when are you going to cook them up? What are you going to do with them?
I'm going to try your recipe, because when I tried it, it rained. It was horrible weather outside. I ended up cooking inside because I had all the prep done. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll be able to do it.
Great.
I'll use some hay smoke as well too.
Yeah. Actually, have you tried it? Have you tried hay smoking?
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
Well, the first time I heard on your podcast about hay smoking, I got it all wrong. And I knew I got it all wrong when I mentioned it to you. And you said, that's another way of doing it, or something like that. I'm like, I did not understand what he was saying. But what I ended up doing, now I have this delicious salt that I have smoked myself, and I'll put it on the foods, and it's incredible, and I love it.
Oh, that's
and the
awesome.
color's now golden color, and it is incredible.
So tell me how you smoke the salt, because I've done it. I love it. But tell the listeners how you went about smoking your salt.
See, that's when not following recipes helps, right? You come up with all these great ideas. So what I actually ended up doing, I had some hay, which I have some more because we put the hay on top of the grass so that it grows. So I'm saving some to the side so I can smoke some.
You don't use it all. Keep some, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mainly use cast iron to cook in my oven. So I'll put it in one of the bowls, cast iron bowls or deep dishes. And then I use one of the non-splash nets that you can put over so that you don't get grease on you. Then I actually put the salt on top of it.
Oh, okay. So it's like a mesh, is it? Like a fine mesh that, right. Yeah, perfect.
Exactly.
What a good idea.
So you look at the mesh now, it's all dark, but who cares?
It's okay. Yeah, who cares?
But you put the salt on it, and I just let it smoke. And slowly the salt just starts changing color and becoming smoked.
Yeah.
And it is just absolutely incredible. Every time I open the little container where I have it.
Yeah, I know.
So
it is really, really good. Yeah, hay smoking. I really love hay smoking. I just grab big bunches of the stuff and put it under the grill, or I throw it deep into the wood-fired oven, and then slide my Tuscan grill over the top of it as it smokes, because it really puffs up briefly, but it really puffs up. Yeah, and it's I like it on when I'm cooking leeks and soft vegetables. It seems to really permeate into the soft skin of the vegetables.
You can taste it more in the vegetables than you do in the meats.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. Have you got plans for other grills, other fire devices in your patio area out the back?
So my father-in-law, who is our helper when we build, he is absolutely amazing. I don't know how we would have done any of this without him. Last time we were talking about a smoker. But the smoker he was looking at or thinking of was one that he saw, which was like tall, and you would hang the meat.
Oh yeah.
So we were talking about that, and of course, first thing I told him was, that's the next project.
You're gonna have to open Vanessa's backyard restaurant, I think, and have people lining up to come and buy your food. I highly recommend a smoker, though. Yeah, I love them.
But it would have to be a structure just like the other ones. We definitely want to keep that look. And all of them matching. So I don't know. That may be 2023
project. Oh, goodness. Okay, let's take a little bit of a chat about your wood-fired oven and the build process, your planning process. There is quite a lot involved in planning and designing your outdoor area and oven itself. Tell us about the build and how it went.
So we knew that we didn't have the knowledge to do the concrete and the build where it would be just right and flat and perfect. But we also knew that my father-in-law did. And he loves doing projects with us. They come and visit us at least twice a year.
Wow.
And whenever they've come, we've done something. We did our deck one year. Another year we did the shed. We've done our basement.
That's good cheap labor. So, well done. It's fantastic. Yeah.
I know. It's great.
It's great.
So it's a great way of bonding. And
how lovely.
He's just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to all of this. That's the kind of work that he did. And he's an expert. So we spoke to him about it, and he's like, okay, so he actually researched some of it. We told him what we were going to get, and he came over and helped us do the base and, of course, the base area where we put the wood and the top nice and flat. But the idea was not for him to do it, but for us to do it as a family. So it was all of us, all hands on deck, helping, and it was just wonderful. Yeah. We did have to call a couple of neighbors to get the actual dome of the wood-fired oven onto its base because it's so heavy.
It's a Forno Bravo.
It is a Forno Bravo. It is a Giardino 70. So it's about 75 centimeters.
Is that the internal diameter? Is that your cooking space? Yeah.
It is. It is. I would like it a little bigger, but it's big.
You can get a lot of food in there, a lot of pizza. Do you cook much pizza
My
in your
least
oven?
favorite thing to do, although I do it, the children love it whenever we have their friends over. That's what they want. So we've had some pizza parties. They call me the pizza mom at school. So, and it's like the least thing I do. But whenever they're here, that's what I make because I know that's what they love, and they get to tell me what they want to put in their pizzas. So yeah, it's fun. But I'd rather do other things.
Yeah, same. I'm with you. I love my pizza, and I've had some great nights as well. But it's going to take quite a bit of effort on my part to get really good at it.
Yes, I'm not like Adrian. Adrian is just, oh my goodness. I
Yeah,
would love to take a class from Adrian.
he's amazing. If the listeners aren't aware, in season 1 of the show, we interviewed Adrian from Ages Fire Kitchen on Instagram, and he is without doubt one of the most amazing pizza cooks I've ever come across. He's incredible, isn't it? Yeah, the amount of pizza that guy cooks is just
I would also like to take a class from him on how he takes his photos. He had some incredible photos. Oh my goodness.
He does, doesn't he? Well, you need to come out to Australia and we'll go down and have a masterclass with Adrian at his place.
Would be wonderful.
Back to your oven and your build. What were some of the challenges that you faced building this oven in your backyard?
I think the biggest thing, and if I knew better, I would have done it different. The location of our wood-fired oven is actually directly where, when there's wind, it goes straight into the oven.
Okay.
And if I would have thought about all of those minor details, I probably would have moved it to the opposite side. But it helps fire. But other than that, that's the biggest thing that we have found. But building it, I think it was more of how are we going to make this look pretty? Because the first thing we did was not the patio, it was the oven. And we built the patio around the oven. So that was the centerpiece, and everything else was going to come from that centerpiece.
So is your oven a kit? So I'm not overly... I know that Fona Bravo is a very well-known brand. I don't actually know too much about them. But did it arrive, the actual dome itself, did you have to construct part of that, or did it arrive
the dome
fully
came
assembled?
Together. So the one we got, the Giardino, is actually already the dome. There's some of them that come in 3 pieces, and those are I believe it's the next size up that comes in 3 or 4 pieces. In fact, I think Clive's has several pieces. It's not just the dome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's got segments.
Yeah, so that one, it was the dome that came in, and they sent us the concrete, the fire rated concrete for us to be able to finish a couple things. But other than that, it was all us. They sent us the fireproof insulation that we had to put, and over that we had to put the scratch surface, and over the scratch surface, the next surface, and then after that, the final one.
And finally, you can paint it, and yours looks lovely. You've done such a great job with it. For somebody thinking about who's listening to the podcast, perhaps, who's thinking about building a wood-fired oven in their backyard, what recommendations would you have for them, aside from the position of the actual oven with regard to wind, perhaps, and those sorts of things? Well, what else would you say to somebody pondering a build like this? What advice would you impart to them?
Think about where you put it. Ours... now it's the perfect location because we've expanded the patio, but it is farther away from the house. And I am a disaster. I forget half the stuff that I need whenever I'm cooking, so I'm running back and forth.
Yeah, same.
Like, I forgot this, or send somebody to get that. So having a little bit closer, I think, is nice. For us, our neighbors are a little bit farther, so we really don't have to worry much about the smoke. Although on windy days, the smoke definitely reaches our neighbors. But always invite them over and always share your food with them, because then they won't mind the smoke.
That's probably some really good advice right there. Make sure you have friendly neighbours, or you can actually cook, so when you do light up. I get a bit of smoke. I've mentioned this before, but my neighbours are pretty close, so we work hard. And I think a lot of that has to do with how well seasoned the wood is. If it's a bit damp, I get more smoke. What wood do you use?
Right now we're using hickory. Which I like. It burns very, very hot, but it produces a lot of ash.
Does it?
And I wish it didn't. So when we were using oak, the oak produced less ash. So right now we're trying to finish the hickory and probably move to something different. We do have a tree that died in the front of the house, which is a Japanese maple, I think it is. So I'm going to use it for cooking. Some people are sad because my tree died. I'm happy because I have green.
You get to burn it. Yeah, how good is that? Hickory's a great wood, though. I use it a lot in my smokers. Actually, it's got a beautiful. It's quite a strong smoke, but I really like it. I haven't tried oak though, but I know post oak over in the States. Lots of folk use.
It's very common in the
oak
area, so that's the easiest thing to find.
Was it all that snow that you get in Maryland that killed your tree, do you think? Because I saw a picture on Instagram of your backyard covered in snow, and I had to talk to you about that. So obviously it gets pretty cold at your place.
It can get pretty cold. Yeah. It doesn't last very long, but it always comes on weekends.
Oh, no, of course it does. Just when Vanessa's trying to get outside and cook in your oven. Now I'm looking at this picture that you posted up on Instagram. And again, a reminder to the listeners, Vanessa Niño 4. Check her out on Instagram. You are covered in snow in this picture. In fact, everything in your backyard is very, very white. Looks like about half a foot of snow there. Have you cooked in the snow?
No.
Oh, I had such a great follow-on question too.
No, I have not. I've cooked in very cold weather. Maybe I will this year because now with the expansion of the oven, we had a hill in our yard leading to the wood-fired oven, and we have put steps there, so now it's flatter and it's easier to get to. So maybe I will.
Maybe you have to give it a go now. We've talked about it.
I do have to. Absolutely.
What's the heat retention properties like of your oven? So, I mean, if you do a big light up, let's say on a Friday night, have you still got usable temperature for the next day or so?
Yes. So I have good usable temperature until probably midday the next day. So usually if I have a big cook the next morning, I am cooking something. I am slow and low and definitely cooking something there.
And I think that retained heat cooking is, I love to cook with flame, but there's something very special about utilising all that stored energy. Yes. It's like a big battery, isn't it?
Yes, and I tell you what, Clive's chapter or episode on retained heat.
It's good, wasn't it?
That's what truly helped me understand what retained heat was. Before that, I was burning everything because I thought retained heat is whatever stays there. So you finish, you close it, and you can cook something. But it really helped me understand how the heat transfers and how it works. It was an incredible video.
Actually, for those listeners who aren't aware of what we're talking about, we've mentioned Clive a couple of times. In fact, we've talked about Clive with most of our guests because he's very influential. Check him out on YouTube, The Wood-Fired Oven Chef on YouTube. I interviewed him in season 1. What an absolute gentleman. And the quality is just exceptional, isn't it? And I think many of us have been very inspired by what he's done. But the episode that you're talking about where he does a deep dive into how these ovens actually function and how they work and how they retain this wonderful heat and the different types of heat in our wood-fired ovens that we get to utilise is well worth a watch, isn't it?
Yes, that's one chapter that I had my book out and I was taking notes. It really is absolutely fascinating.
We've spoken about your Instagram a few times, and I've got a couple of pictures here that I want to talk to you about. Now, we've already talked about you and your bricklaying, which you've done a really great job. But you did post one about your garden, and I've been doing quite a bit of work in my garden, so I thought I'd ask you about your garden. This was back on early May this year. So you've been doing a bit of work, not just on your wood-fired oven area, but on your garden. What are you doing with your garden?
So tomatoes are always a must. That's something that I usually put in. But this year I have lots of onions. I use onions so much in my cooking that I figured I had to make my onions and produce my onions. I have some garlic as well. And the confit is just incredible that comes out of that.
I haven't tried that. It works good, eh?
It does. Yes, the confit. Actually, before Clive put the chapter on it, I had sent him an email. Yep. I'm like, can you share the recipe with me? And I've been following that recipe for quite a while, and it's just fantastic. It's delicious.
Can you share the recipe with me, please?
Yes, absolutely. I'll send you.
I'm going to give it a go because I saw Clive do it, and now you've done it, and now you can pass it to me. That'd be great. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Yeah, nice. I love garlic. That's really great. Okay, so back to your garden. So you like to cook, you like to grow onions and garlic, and what else are you doing with it?
One thing that I really like is squash, butternut squash, spaghetti squash, acorn squash. I love cooking those in my oven. And last year I discovered charring them and then opening them up, and it's just delicious. It's fantastic.
Really? Yeah.
So I make it on a whole bunch of different ways, and I cook it so much that I decided I need to grow this
Oh,
because
good
they
on you.
will last through the winter if you have a nice amount. Last year, I think the last one we ate was probably January, maybe February. So it keeps very well as long as it's in a cool location, and just it's wonderful. So we have those, we have lettuce, we have carrots, beets. I love beets.
Do you?
Yes,
Oh,
yes. I
nice.
actually char those too. So the way I do my beets, I actually will boil them in water with vinegar, and it just let it boil until it's soft. And then what I do after that, I will slice it and char it, still with the
Nice.
skin on. And
Wow.
that I learned
Fantastic.
actually from Francis Mullman, one of his books. He's one of my favorite. He is fantastic. But he will actually squish them with his hand and put them and char them. I actually cut them because every time I squish them, they fly everywhere. So I figure I'm cutting this thing.
But I think that's one of the great versatilities of a wood-fired oven, though, is not only does it do pizza, not only does it do meats really well, but vegetables.
Oh yes.
It is so good. It is. I love doing leeks. I love leeks. Always have loved them. I just throw them on top of the coals and deep in the wood-fired oven, and
Oh yeah, they're
they're just
delicious.
the best. They're just the best thing ever.
Yep.
Yeah, they're fantastic. Another one of your posts on Instagram was from your recent trip to Colombia, and
Yes.
I think there were a couple pictures of some wood-fired ovens
Yes.
from your trip. Tell us about those.
Oh, were incredible. So we went to this town called Barichara. You don't have to repeat the name.
For the listeners, we had a wee chat before we hit record, and I wasn't going to attempt to pronounce that one. But anyway, Colombia, on your trip to that place in Colombia.
Yes, to Barichara.
Barichara.
And
Okay.
it's this quaint little town. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous town. We just went there. We were there with my parents, and in going around it, it's an artist town. It is a quiet, nice, quaint, beautiful town in the middle of the most amazing views I have ever seen. Just mountains everywhere and just rolling mountains, not rolling hills, everywhere. It's incredible. But while we were walking, we went in to visit one of the artists' homes and just kind of look at their atelier and their art. And the children just kind of went back and were exploring the whole house.
As
Not
kids do.
just the atelier area. And they come back to me, mommy, he
Check
has
this
a
out.
wood-fired oven. And that was the end of it. We had to all run back there and see it. But it was just a gorgeous.
Looking at the photos of it, it's staggering.
It's a gorgeous, gorgeous wood-fired oven. He built it himself, and just not really knowing much, or it was more instinct the way that he built it. Than anything else, but it's just gorgeous, very rustic and very just solid, beautiful build.
It is amazing where one comes across wood-fired ovens when you're not expecting to see them. It's happened to me a couple of times on my travels around Australia, and nice that you saw that when you were, out and about traveling. I think that's great. One of the other posts on Instagram that you had was we touched on this earlier, but was a dish that you tried wrapped in leaves.
Yes.
Now, I wanted a bit of a chat about this because the presentation looks amazing. I'm looking at it right now. Tell us about this dish.
So this dish in particular, I wanted to do something as a dessert. And the dessert was based with corn paste, but it was fresh corn. So I got the corn and I crushed it, and I used a food processor. I didn't crush it myself.
Oh, did you?
Let's be honest.
But it sounded rustic and authentic for a moment, just for a little moment, Vanessa. Yeah.
But then you put it in the plantain leaves and you wrap it. Now,
amazing.
typically when you do these, you steam them. That's how you cook them. But I knew my paste was too wet, that steaming it was not going to dry it up enough. But I knew that if I put it in the fire, maybe, I hope, that some of that steam would evaporate and all those flavors from the plantain leaves would just go into the corn paste that I made.
So does it harden up, does it, at the end of the cook? Is that what it's supposed to do? this paste, or does it stay soft?
It stays soft,
Okay.
not too soft. It stays a little more solid, but not runny. I'm trying to think what I would compare it to. It's not a bread, and it's not a.
I really want to try this now.
Oh, it was so good. It's just it's not it's solid and it's not soft, so it's kind of in between.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay.
But then I just dressed it up with a guava jelly that I created that day and put it in. It just was so good. But that was pure experimentation.
How cool is
I had
that?
no idea what I was going to get. I, of course, didn't follow the recipe at all because.
But this
Why
is
would
Vanessa's
I?
recipe.
Oh, and it's in my book. I wrote the recipe down.
Have you cooked with other things with leaves and wraps? Because
Yes.
that must come from your heritage. Yeah.
Yes, it does. And actually, my grandma used to make tamales, which are
Yeah.
this paste made with corn and other things, and it's wrapped in the banana leaves. And there are different ways of wrapping. The one that was typical, or that is typical from the Bogotá area and its surroundings, it's kind of in a bag with the tie on the top.
Right. And the food inside the leaves, that really does take on the flavor of the leaf itself, does it?
It does.
I haven't had food like this.
So, but the tamales are just delicious. My grandma used to make them. Eventually, when we were young, she did purchase them because it's a lot of work. But they're delicious. And recently, I've been reading up on those. And in fact, there's a book that I bought, which one of my friends is going to send to me, specifically on these wraps and the different styles and the different flavors that you put. Some of them are with plantain flavor, other of them are corn, other than they're different things.
Sounds lovely.
So I'm looking forward to that. You're going to see a couple more. I liked having put it on the embers. Just gave it such an amazing flavor that was different than anything I had tried before. That I think I'm going to do that a couple times more and not just steam it, because it just the flavor was just fantastic. I've done fish wrapped in the plantain leaves as well.
And that was good?
So that's it was delicious.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the fish that I did, which was fresh, my neighbors they actually can fish. I can't. I try, but I can't catch anything.
You need to send your son to go
Exactly.
fishing with your neighbors.
They will go fishing and they will give us part of what they caught. So I've
lovely.
used them, but their fillets are very thin. So it's not the thick fillets that maybe you can buy at the store. So for that, I wish I would have used one that was a thicker fillet rather than this very thin fillet. But it was still really good. But the plantain flavor was a little too overpowering.
What about wrapping steaks and red meat? Is that a thing in Brazil or Colombia? Wrapping in these leaves?
I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of. Maybe
You
it
should try
is, and
that.
I just haven't. But
Yeah, there you go.
I'll give it a try.
Give it a shot, Vanessa.
Yeah, I have not heard of those done with the
No.
plantain leaves. Now you put meat in the tamales, which go
Yeah.
inside there, but the steak alone in there, I've never heard of it. It's great for presentation.
Yeah, it does look really good, doesn't it? I'm looking at a fruit, which is really an unusual fruit. And when I was in my second to last year of high school, very lucky enough to go on a school trip to Malaysia. And when I was in Malaysia, we went into the forests there, and we were given these funny little spiky little fruits. And you've taken an amazing photo. Do you know the one I'm talking about?
I sure do.
Yeah,
do.
so what am I looking at there, Vanessa?
You are looking at a fruit that I just forgot the word because I know I can see the
Rambutan.
picture. Rambutan.
It's
Rambutan.
Rambutan.
Exactly. Thank you. It is delicious. The
Yeah.
interesting thing that the fruit is not a South American fruit. It was actually brought to South America, but that's where I saw it for the first time.
Really?
And I thought it was really interesting, and I didn't get a chance to try it. Just I passed it, but something else was going on, and I never got a chance. And I found them on a specialty store that we went to, and I just had to have it. And it is just delicious. It is wonderful.
I haven't had it again since I traveled, but I think it reminded me a little bit of lychee, which as a young kid I didn't actually like. But I remember having this in Malaysia. I thought, wow, this is this is really nice. I went back home, told Mum, you've got to try and find these things in New Zealand. Well, of course you couldn't. But I was delighted to see a photo of it because it took me back a number of years. Another photo, the last one we'll chat about. I have to say I was really excited to see this photo, and I think this particular item was given to you as a gift from one of your relatives, I think. You're smiling because you know what this is.
I do. We're talking about the flambadou. I love my flambadou.
How good is the flambadou? I mean, every wood-fired oven cook needs a flambadou in their arsenal of tools. Oh, well, I think.
I agree. If you want to impress your friends, get a flambadou. I actually, after your episode of the flambadou, I just started looking at it. I'm like, this is fascinating. And I told my mom about it just in talking. And she's like, well, Christmas is coming. Oh. Do you want one? I'm like, yes, please. I would like one.
Okay. Thank you very much.
It was a gift from my mom.
How neat is that? That's really cool.
Oh, but it is wonderful. It is wonderful. Yeah. It's fun. It is. The first time I used it, it was too cold. And the flambadou got cold very, very quickly. And really the effect of it lasted very, very little. So now that it's hot outside, I think it's something that I'm definitely going to be using very soon. I was talking about it with my husband actually yesterday. I think it's something that you're going to see some pictures of the flambadou and use very, very soon.
I can't wait. Yes. And I haven't had mine out for probably 6 or 7 months. It's been too hot for me anyway, cooking in front of my oven over our summer, which must be your winter. But it's just cooling off nicely now for the next 6 or 7 months. And that's when I love to cook. And this is going to come out. For those listeners who don't know what a flambadou is, it's a conical shaped funnel, isn't it? Made of like steel with a very long handle on it. And the idea is that you put it in your wood-fired oven. I really have to super heat soak mine for a couple of hours really until it's almost glowing. And the steel in mine's very thick. It must be about 4 mil thick. It's really thick. It's quite heavy. And then you drop pieces of animal fat into it and you use it as a baster to baste whatever you want to baste. I've done steak, which is really nice. So when you drizzle this fat through the flambadou, it ignites, and it's like rivers of fire dripping out the bottom. Literally rivers of fire. The thing looks absolutely spectacular.
Like lava.
It is like lava. It's amazing. It sizzles and it bastes and it crisps up your food. And so you can have steak that tastes like bacon fat or chicken. Apparently it's done with seafood, oysters, mussels I've seen it done. I don't like those, but if it's your thing, give it a shot. But a flambadou is great. I had to buy mine on eBay and I bought it from a guy in France. I couldn't find anyone local, but I reckon that'd be pretty easy to make actually. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's a toy. Yeah. It is.
Yeah,
it's
wonderful. Really is. I'm looking at some steak that you did recently. I think it might have been on the last post that you did. And the steak looks really good, actually. I'm looking at a close-up picture of it here. You've cooked that beautifully. But on the top of your steak, you've got this gorgeous-looking sauce. Tell me, what have you done with that?
So the sauce is actually made out of a fruit that I can only find frozen here. And it is called a tree tomato or tomate de árbol in Spanish. So tree tomato, and it comes in 2 colors. One is an orange color. The other one is a bright red color. This is the orange one, and it's a high acidity fruit.
Yes. Yep.
But when combined with, I put onions and cilantro and garlic and some sugar to reduce that level of acidity in it. And it just makes for a wonderful, wonderful sauce. It is a really, really good fruit. And it's something that I had never done before. I think I had only tried this kind of sauce at a restaurant once. And I saw it in a cookbook that I got on my last travel.
That's amazing. I would never have thought to use a tree tomato. Now, growing up as kids, I think my parents used to call them tamarillos.
Yes, that's I believe that's the other word for it.
I remember having these as kids, but I haven't had it as an adult, and I have to say, I might have to try that. That does look really good. But it's cool experimenting with these sorts of flavors, and I reckon that's a bit of fusion going on there.
It was delicious. We had some friends over, and when they were leaving, they're like, "Can we take a little bit of your sauce?" So I gave them a container with some of it. Oh, it was so good.
Vanessa, we have come to that part of the show, which just a bit of fun. I've got some questions for you. These are quick fire questions. All right. Okay. And they don't really require any thought. All right. So just whatever comes into your head, you can just let loose. Now, I've done this with a number of guests now, and they've all done pretty well. So there's no
Sounds
pressure
good.
on you. Okay. And bless Clive, he was the first person to have to go through this part of the ordeal. However, this is 20 quickfire questions for Vanessa. What is your favorite movie of all time?
So I'm not a huge movie watcher,
hang
but my children are.
I've seen one on Instagram that you posted. Hang on, I'm looking.
That's what I'm heading to.
Was that what you going to say? There you go. I'm looking at it right now.
Encanto. Disney just came out with the most amazing movie that takes place. It takes place in this imagined place in Colombia, which actually part of the town where Encanto takes place was inspired by Barichara. So
really, is that right?
Yes,
oh wow,
yes,
that's
it was.
incredible.
As part of the inspiration was taken from there. But Encanto, I have to say, they have so many cultural aspects of Colombia in it that I just absolutely
And it's
love
really
it.
done well, yeah.
It's well done.
And this particular snap that you've taken and thrown up on Instagram, there is an amazing thing in the background as well.
It has the mom who cures people with food. She has a wood-fired oven.
She does, and it looks amazing. Oh, I want that wood-fired oven because it looks so amazing. It's a cartoon, but oh wow,
it is a beautiful, beautiful wood-fired oven.
And it's gorgeous, isn't it? What would be your last meal?
I would have to go with ajiaco. So ajiaco is the most popular soup in Bogotá.
Okay.
And it is a potato-based soup, and it has
Lovely.
4 or 5 different kinds of potatoes, and it is just absolutely delicious.
Is it a spicy dish? Spicy?
No, we don't eat very spicy. Even though there are spicy foods in Colombia, it's not common to eat spicy. So we're a little less spicy than other parts of the world, but it has to be followed by a great big cup of coffee.
Oh, that's
Colombian, of course. Colombian coffee.
Of course. Have you cooked with coffee? Have you tried doing? Have you? How's that gone?
It's gone well. I actually made meringues with coffee.
Really?
There is a post with them. That is one thing that I've done. There is a sauce for meats that is done with coffee that I've been wanting to experiment with. I have not done it yet, but that'll be coming.
What surprises you the most about people?
You know, whenever you speak to people, you find out things that you had no idea, things you have in common with them that you would never know, or things that they've lived through. That just makes them into a completely different person than what you ever imagined that person would be. So,
what's your least favorite food?
Liver. Ugh.
Oh, really? You don't like that stuff? You don't like
pate? I've never liked liver and kidney. Ugh. I'll eat anything else. I've eat chicken feet. I've eat chicken beef tongue. I'll have oxtail. I have you name it.
Yeah.
But
not
liver and kidneys.
Not your thing. Oh, yum, so good. Brussels sprouts. I hate Brussels sprouts. Always have.
I love Brussels sprouts.
Hang on. I think, didn't you put a post up about Brussels sprouts?
Yeah.
I think you've cooked them.
I make them all the time.
Oh, do you? Oh, that's disgusting. It's a standing joke in my family about Brussels sprouts. My sister and I used to hate them. She now likes them, and I'm just never going near them. But you reckon they're pretty good, eh?
It really depends on how you cook it. So, because some people cook them, and that bitterness of
that's what I remember as a kid. Yeah,
it's horrible.
Yeah.
But if you bake them and you do it properly, the bitterness is not there. I think you should give it a try.
Maybe.
You know what you should do? Just slice it in really thin pieces and just toss it in with
a lot of spices
vegetables.
And coffee and it's not going to happen, Vanessa. Okay, I'm not going to waste that 3 seconds of my life cooking those. Okay, what would you bring on a one-way trip to Mars? It's one way.
My family.
Great, very good.
Can't live without them.
Yeah, very nice. What is the best advice you have ever received?
My mom, right before I went into the immigration part, everybody's kissing and hugging you goodbye, and my mom gave me a big hug, and she said, always remember to smile. It'll make your day better. It'll change your day. It'll make your day. Don't forget to smile. And it's the last word she told me before I entered immigration.
Oh, that's lovely.
I never forgot it.
That is really great advice. Oh, that's really great. What was your first job?
I worked at a magic shop. So I was selling magic. Yes.
Is that right? Really? Have you ever met a celebrity?
Yes.
Who?
Well, I guess you could call him a celebrity. He is a celebrity. Chef Father Leo Patali. I don't know how to say his last name. He's a Filipino priest, and he is a chef. He has his own show, travels around the world with food and talks about food and everything. He has a food truck. I think I have a photo of him in my Instagram.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I went to one of his presentations. But he's just great. And actually, I don't know if you know Bobby Flay from the Food Network.
Oh, yes. He did a breakfast show, didn't he?
He beat Bobby Flay.
Really?
Yes, Father Leo beat Bobby Flay. So
is that right? Oh, wow.
So, hey, anybody who beats Bobby Flay is a celebrity,
good.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Who should everyone be following on social media right now?
Mark and Clive.
Oh, yeah.
That's easy.
Aside from us. Thank you. But aside from us, who else? Anyone else?
There's this gentleman, Live Fire Republic, and he's a chef. David Olson. He just cooks some amazing things. It's just incredible. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. I'm looking at his feed right now. Okay, and I'm following him now. Wow, you're right. That's a good tip. Wow, That's amazing food. Very purple food. Oh, that's incredible. Okay, if you could change one thing about the planet, what would it be, Vanessa?
Religious persecution.
Okay, that's a good
it breaks my heart to see things that are happening all around the world, specifically because one person is one religion and the other person is another one.
What is one dish your family would agree was the best you've ever made?
Lomo trapo, which is the one that I would love to make over and over and over again. I actually got the same idea for Thanksgiving, and I actually did turkey al trapo. And for those that don't know what cooking al trapo is it is salt crusted steak or turkey in the case of Thanksgiving. And it is wrapped in a cloth that keeps everything together. Now, the salt, it is a very thick, maybe quarter-inch, maybe centimeter, half a centimeter.
So it's a real crust, is it? It's a real,
and it dries up while it's in there, and it hardens. So you actually have to break it with hammer it off.
Oh, I've got to try this.
It is delicious, and all the juices stay inside. And even with all that salt, it does not taste salty. The salt is just a covering. It kind of becomes the micro wood-fired oven.
Yeah, okay.
Oven.
Yeah. So it hardens up and then you crack it off to you, and then you eat the food that's left inside. Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yes. Oh, it is delicious.
Well, that does sound delicious. Yeah, I'd like to try some of these sorts of things. You've inspired me today, Vanessa. What is one dish, however, that your family would agree was the worst you've ever made? Because we've all had more failures than I have than successes, anyway.
I have told you that I like experimenting and not looking at recipes.
Yeah.
I decided my palate was good enough to produce Thai food.
Oh, okay.
It was this Thai. It was a coconut soup, and it was fantastic. We had it in this restaurant, and it was incredible.
Oh, fabulous! I love Thai
food. And
of
course, I thought I knew what to do, and it was a disaster.
That was a Vanessa fail right there, was it?
Oh my goodness, yes. I tried eating it just out of pride, but we ended up just dumping it. It was horrible.
It was horrible.
Absolutely horrible.
Well, we have to fail at food sometimes, I think. What's one thing that you still have from your childhood?
Oh, my little stuffed animal.
If you wrote an autobiography, what would it be called?
I think this is easy because my mom, she, with my sisters and my name, or with my sister's name, she would just play with them. She would say Cristina Chef Cariñosa, which is caring chef.
Oh, nice.
She always loved cooking and everything. She actually is a chef.
Really?
She bakes, and she's fantastic.
Oh,
but
wow.
That was my sister. So from very, very young age, it was the 3 C's for Cristina. Erica, it was Erica, excellent engineer. And of course, she's an engineer.
Is she? Oh.
And I'm like, my name starts with a V.
A V. It's a bit tricky,
What Exactly. And my mom is like, give me time, all in time. It's like, when you're ready, you will know
It
what
will
the
come to you.
freebies are.
Yeah. Oh.
In a time in which I was discouraged by a million things that was going on with jobs, with just everything.
Yeah.
She said, do you want to know what your 3 V's are? She said, it's Vini, Vidi, Vinci.
Oh,
I
that's
came, I saw,
there you
I
go.
conquered.
That's Latin, isn't it?
And that's what my 3 V's are. So I would have to name the
how
book
cool is
Vini,
that?
Vidi, Vinci.
That's really
So,
special. That's really lovely. I like that.
yes.
That's nice.
Yes.
Who is a person, dead or alive, you would love to have dinner with?
Oh, I would love to meet my husband's grandfather, and I would love to sit down with my great grandmother and just have a nice meal with them and
That'd be
just
lovely.
pick their brain and the recipes,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. And then get your pen and write them all down.
Yeah, I would love to meet my great grandmother.
If you could switch lives with one person for a day, who would it be? This is quick fire.
Saint Mother Teresa.
Oh, you're lovely. Yeah. Are you into sports?
Just anything soccer is probably the first thing that I would watch.
Okay. Didn't the American female football team they did really well a few years ago, didn't they?
Yeah, the U.S. soccer team is absolutely amazing. They are wonderful. I like them a lot. Besides the Colombian soccer team, of course.
Okay, you've got 3 questions left, all right? What good habit are you trying to adopt?
I gotta get better organized when I cook in my oven.
How do you know when you've nailed a dish in your wood-fired oven?
Nobody talks at the dinner table. Everybody is eating. Everybody's concentrated.
It goes very silent, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what is one thing you cannot live without?
My husband and my children.
Vanessa, it has been so much fun and a real delight chatting with you today, exploring your rich South American heritage and your obvious passion for your family and passing on your love of food and cooking with fire to the next generation. Thank you so much for coming on the show and having a chat with me today.
Thank you, Mark. It's been a pleasure.
If you've enjoyed this episode, please make sure you follow the Wood Fired Oven podcast in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app. Please consider posting a review on Apple Podcasts, as this really helps the show. Don't forget to check out woodfiredoven.cooking for more tips, tricks, and advice on cooking with fire. You can also see full episode notes and links. You can also post a question which I may feature on the show. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, so head over to your favorite social platform and get in touch. Thanks again for listening. Catch you next time.